Welcome back to Indie Film Weekly for the week of December 5th, 2025. I'm Glen Reynolds, your guide every week to 3 new indies in theaters, 1 spotlight title to rent, and a classic indie film worth revisiting. This week in theaters, we've got a fable of loyalty and desire inside a remote castle, a grief-soaked obsession that tumbles into forbidden attraction, and a Catholic school choir weekend that turns into a coming-of-age quake. If one of these lands near you, buy a ticket and go. The hush in a theater changes how these films breathe, and your ticket keeps the lights on for the next one. This episode is brought to you by Circus Road Films, helping indie filmmakers get deals, festival traction, and distribution since 2006. Learn more at circusroadfilms.com. Let's dive in. Our first indie film in theaters this week, 100 Nights of Hero, drops us into a remote castle where a charming house guest upends a delicate triangle: a neglectful husband, his innocent bride, and their devoted maid. Director Julia Jackman plays this like a bedtime story for grown-ups, where desire and power swap places after dark, and the rules change every time a new tale begins. The tension is sly, the romance is thorny, and the storytelling keeps shifting the ground under your feet. It's also about who gets to speak, who gets believed, and how stories can protect you or betray you depending on who is listening. If you're craving a myth with a pulse, this one delivers. Another indie film in theaters this week, Come Closer, follows Eden in the raw aftermath of her brother's sudden death. She discovers he had a secret girlfriend, Maya, and that discovery pulls her into late-night parties, new temptations, and a love she is not sure she's ready to hold. Director Tom Nesher keeps the camera close and the emotions unvarnished. Grief here is a current, not a speech, and the film stays honest about how loss can look a lot like escape. It's tender, messy, and alive with the small choices that change who we become. If you've ever tried to outrun a feeling by chasing a person, this will ring uncomfortably true. Our final indie film in theaters this week, Little Trouble Girls, tracks Lucia, an introverted 16-year-old who joins an all-girl choir and suddenly finds herself orbiting a popular classmate. A rehearsal weekend at a convent isolates the group just enough for alliances to shift, secrets to surface, and Lucia's own awakening to take shape. Director Urska Dukic resists melodrama. She leans into silence, side glances, and the coded conversations of teenagers who know the rules and test them anyway. It's sharp about power inside friend groups, and gentle about firsts. First risk, first desire, first time you realize you're not the person you were last week. So in theaters this week, that's 100 Nights of Hero, Come Closer, and Little Trouble Girls. Our spotlight indie film on TVOD this week, Finger Laced Crown, follows Lemon Drop, a 27-year-old spray paint artist trying to break into the fine art world while old wounds keep showing up in her dreams. A past relationship won't let go. A new painting demands to be made, and life keeps throwing practical problems at an impractical calling. Director Brandon C. Lay frames the art scene as both invitation and obstacle. The film moves between studio grind, complicated romances, and the push-pull of a mother who can help one minute and derail the next. It's a coming-of-age story for someone who is technically already of age, which feels very contemporary. Available on Amazon, Apple, and Google Play. Our indie film classic this week is Living in Oblivion, turning 30, and still uncomfortably accurate. Tom DiCillo's comedy is a valentine and a roast of low-budget filmmaking, following director Nick Reeve as he tries to complete a day's work while everything collapses around him. Spoiled milk on set, actors with notes at the worst possible time, crew headaches, and the calendar counting down in the corner. Steve Buscemi gives the kind of frazzled sincerity only he can, and Catherine Keener threads the needle between wounded and razor sharp. Peter Dinklage, in a breakout turn as Tito, steals the dream sequence with his blistering rant about directors stuffing dwarfs into dream cliches. James LeGros nails the actor who's both committed and catastrophically self-involved. The joke is not that indie films are chaotic. The joke is that somehow, sometimes, they still come together and mean something to somebody. You get dream sequences that feel like actual dreams, a running argument with the tyranny of the perfect take, and a final rally that reminds you why people keep doing this. It's brisk, quotable, and truer today than most behind-the-scene docs. Streaming free on Tubi, or download it on your preferred platform if you want to keep it handy. And that's the December 5th edition of Indie Film Weekly. Whether you're slipping into a castle full of secrets, circling a love that hurts and heals, or finding your voice in a convent rehearsal hall, there's something indie for you in theaters this week. If you can, see one of these in a theater. Pick a showtime, sit with strangers, and let the room do its work. Subscribe and share the pod if you're into it. And I'll see you next Friday. Until then, keep it curious, keep it bold, and keep it indie.